Hello, good day. Welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are going to be talking about we'll be coming to one of the subjects we actually visited earlier about atoms and environment. So today we'll be learning how to install local atoms because we have been actually in the previous set of tutorials we have been working with atoms in the cloud. In either so if you're following this a series, you're actually using an environment, a test environment. Like if you remember, we always have a dev environment and a development environment, which is also used for your test and your production environment. However, we want to actually take it in step further by installing a local atom. The question is, why would you install a local atom? Because currently, as of today, when doing this tutorial, Boomi doesn't support there's some types of operation that you would require a local atom. So because we would be working with an FTP server, and we need a PPK key file, which normally when you actually set up your FTP server, you might generate a PEM file or a PPK file. So you won't be able to upload these files to Boomi. So what we need to do is actually to keep these files on a local system and use a local atom, and when we are running executing this process would point to this key file. So this is one use case of a key file. However, your organization might decide, okay, for some processes they want to run on an atom locally. However, in a production settings, it's always advisable you talk with your sales representative from Boomi. They give you the best advice on how to go about it. So today we'll just be taking a quick overview of how to it's a simple process, and I'll just be showing you um, how to install a local atom, and we'll do that. It's a very brief process, but let's get right away to it. So first of all, um, I'm just going to create an environment as well. So basically, the hierarchy of my project today is currently we have an atom, a dev atom, which is in the dev environment. So today we'll be creating a production environment which will contain our local atom. This is for the project. For this tutorial, we find this useful. We find this architecture useful. However, from project to project, it might change. So let's get ahead. So I'll first create my environment. There's no you can start with your atom, you can start with your environment, but however I just feel good doing this. Production environment. So I try to keep my naming convention. Like I said, you either have your production or your test, which is your for your development. I'll just keep production. So the next thing is I want to create an atom. I click on new, I click on atom. So yeah, it asks me what is my preference in the cloud, which we have been working with before, or do I want a local atom? I say yes. Now I choose the bits I want. I'm working on a Windows 64 bits. If you're on a Linux, you can do this and you extract it and download. So I'm just going to do download installer. Now you can actually do some extra configurations. Yeah, but because this is a tutorial, we're not making things very complex. I'm just going to create um 64 without coming into these security options. So you see it takes some time to install. I can click on close. So I now try to install this. So I try to install this. Okay, so let's just come to our downloads folder. I'll right click. I have to install it as an administrator. Right click and install as administrator. Sorry, it's in French, but this means just execute as an administrator. So I'll click yes. So basically it's a series of next. So it asks you for the username and password, and it also asks you for the atom name. You can actually change this name, but by default it gives you a name. It's some which is like an IP. You can actually use this, or you can actually change this. So I'm going to just copy my username and my password. If you don't know your username or password, you can actually come into your when you come settings, you can come to user informations, for if you're doing the tutorial, you've forgotten your username and password, you can actually do this. So I'm just going to do mine, and I'm going to fill this up right away. Okay, so I'm going to do mine. Okay, so my username is this, and my password is this. Okay, you can actually, however, change your name. Let me change this. I'll call this local prod. I click on next. So it tries to log in using your username and password you just selected. So it tells you now. Currently, I see on your system you have two environments: a development environment and a production environment. So how do you want? Where do you want to install this Atom in? I say I want to go ahead with my production environment because that's the architecture I explained earlier on. So it asks you where do you want to install this in your system, because you want to install it the Atom locally. You want to install some executable files in your system. So you just click next. On ideally you don't need to change this for your tutorials, but if you're working on a real project, there might be some things you want to consider. So I'm going to click next. Yes. Okay, next as well. Then also just executes in about less than 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes, it's all done, and we'll have a local Atom that we can actually use when we are connecting with a secured FTP, or we are because also we're looking at how to work with messaging servers. I'll talk about that later on in the course, but it's something like, just to give you a brief heads up, we'll be working with RabbitMQ. If you actually work, you went through a course in MuleSoft, we used ActiveMQ, but because Boomi has it's more customized, it's more it has a more a, 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 a better shape for handling RabbitMQ. That's what we'll be using in the tutorial. Both are just messaging services. So we click on next, finish, and I think that's done. We'll just come back here to see if Atom was installed correctly. So as you can see, we have a local environment. However, if your this current system is switched off, this Atom won't be available. So like if I log into the under system and from with my same account, and this local production won't be available, because this local production has to always communicate with Boomi Cloud. As you see, it's currently tell you that the Atom is offline because it's trying to still do a little bit of setup and configuration. But when it's up, you'll be able to see it. So let's just do a quick test on our Atom to see whether it's working. We'll just do a little notify hello world quickly, and we'll test it with hello world. Again, we are just saving it in which order we post. So if you have been following our tutorials, this should be very quick for you. Start. We are doing no data. Okay, all you just want to do is write a notify and say hello world on local Atom. Okay, and we can just end this process. And we join this. So I'm going to test this. It asks you which Atom do you want to actually work on. So I have my dev Atom. I have my local production. I'm going to click on local production test, and let's see. So basically, it still does the same thing, but it's just to make sure that our Atom is working well. So the process went through, and So that brings us to the end of this tutorial. You can actually see what's inside the message by clicking on the notify shape, and you see the message here. So that brings us to the end of the tutorial, how to actually install a local atom. Thank you. We'll be continuing the next class. Looking forward to meeting you as well. Thank you.